Hello and welcome. My name is Michelle with Phoenix Flow Art. If you like my content, please like, subscribe, and share. Again, I want to say thank you. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for the subscriptions and the feedback and the comments and you sharing. I truly appreciate it. So today's video, I'm going to do something different. I decided to work on a keepsake box. And over the past couple of weeks, I've also been working with iridescent vinyl. So I thought I would create an ocean scene using those two items. So right now I am laying down my iridescent vinyl. And this keepsake box I got from Jerry's Artarama. Now you don't have to buy it from there, but it comes with the whole set. It comes with the top, the bottom, as well as the screws and everything, the hardware. You can go to Michael's and buy one of those boxes, or you can just use two boxes, two cradle boards, one with a 2-inch profile and one with a 1/4-inch profile, and then you just get the hardware, whatever hardware you want, and you can create a box that way. So I got this iridescent vinyl off of Amazon, and it has adhesive, which makes it a little easier versus me having to glue it down. So you'll see my vinyl's not going to be 100% straight or even. It might have some bubbles. You can either prick the bubbles to get the air out, or you can leave it. It didn't bother me because I think it actually gives it more character. If you do see some of the bubbles underneath it, because I'm trying to recreate something that reminds you of water anyway. So I just think the bubbles will just actually help with that. So I'm laying my vinyl down. Again, this is a 4x6 cradle board. And this is going to be the top of that keepsake board, or that keepsake box. So once I have my vinyl attached to the board, I will just cut off all the excess. Use an X-Acto knife or whatever straight edge that you have. Just make sure it is sharp. First I cut the corners, and then I cut the sides. So I'm using ArtResin for this piece, laying down a base coat of resin, which is 1 part resin, 1 part hardener. Using my heat gun to get rid of some of the bubbles and warm up the resin. And then I'm just going to spread it out. And you don't need to use this much resin. I just had some extra resin, so I didn't want it to go to waste. Whenever you're using resin, you should use your PPE gloves and some sort of mask or breathing apparatus. The first color I'm going to be using is a dark turquoise by Color Passion. And the second is by Dr. Martin's Bombay Teal. It's India ink. And the third and final color I'll be using by Jacquard, and it's an alcohol ink, Mermaid. It's fine if these colors get mixed up. You just want your lightest at the bottom and your darkest at the top, and you can mix them up a little bit so it's not a huge variation. Just whatever your preference is. Make sure you get the sides and the corners. And then just bust the bubbles and we'll let it dry. And you can use a heat gun or a torch, whatever your preference is or you have. Whenever I have a heat torch in my hand, I have to blow something around, even if it's not necessary. So it is, I let it dry overnight, so I had to sand it before I started. So once I sanded it down, you sand it so that the new resin has something to grip onto. I went ahead and put the teal in the ink across the entire surface. Basically just bringing all those colors together. So you don't have, so it's not looking so stripy. Then basically bust the bubbles and you let it set up. You can leave it up overnight to make sure it's dried and cured, or you can start working on it 6 hours afterwards. However, if you touch it, it's going to leave a print. It's not solid, it's not hard. So if you choose to put another layer on 6 hours later, keep that in mind. I know this, and I still touched it. So I'm busting my bubbles. Six hours later, I start. And again, if you touch it, it's going to leave your print. So I'm laying down a clear coat of resin where I want my wave to go. So I'm not putting resin on the entire piece, just where my wave will be. Still, you have to be very careful with it because the resin underneath is not cured fully. It's only been about 6 or 7 hours. So now I'm laying down my white for my wave. And that is a titanium white, and I think it's called Epoxy Sculpt. I'll put that in the description below. But that is my white. Take my torch to warm up the resin prior to starting to blow my wave. When you blow your wave, you can do small circles to help the resin move, but not move too much, till you get it where you want it to be. I like it there. For the most part, I've got some cells. So I'm going to use that epoxy, that white epoxy sculpt, and create a solid line at the base of my wave to make it a little bit more cohesive. And that's where it should have ended, but I touched it. So I'm trying to cover up where I messed up. So I'm extending my wave. So now I need to add some more clear epoxy so that I can blow that additional white wave formation. But what happened was, when I blew it out, it just blew out the top wave also. So then all my cells went away and it didn't look like anything like a wave anymore. At least I didn't think so. And then I had too much of a solid white line at the base. So I didn't like it anymore. Things don't always go the way you anticipate. So the wave became overworked. And washed out. So I let it dry, hoping for the best. And I didn't like it. So because I didn't like it, I just poured teal over it all over again. But I was having technical difficulties, so it didn't record. So like I said, I just poured a coat of teal on the entire piece. And then I just added, after that dried, I went ahead and added another white line to recreate the wave. So I was gonna have, it's gonna look like hopefully a wave on top of a wave. So it's gonna hopefully show some depth. Now the reason why I'm struggling here, because I didn't realize that my heat gun is blowing only cold air. So I realized it at some point. It's like, what is going on? So then I turned the heat gun on, heat instead of cool, and then now you see my resin is starting to move, my wave is starting to form, I'm seeing cells. So that's how that went. So I like this a lot better. now I'm going to add a little bit of white to connect the wave again, or the base of the wave. But this time I'm not going to touch it with my finger. Then I'm going to add a little bit of heat to that line to soften it up so it doesn't look like this, you know, big thick line, and it looks like it belongs. And then we will be done. So I hope you like this video. Again, my name is Michelle with Phoenix Flow Art. Creating is what I do.